Welcome back to the AAI Common Room. I'm Aristo, and with me as always are my esteemed and often exasperating friends Albert and Isaac. Today, we're diving into a book that holds a surprisingly complex place in the literary canon, a book many of us might have encountered young or perhaps avoided entirely. We are, of course, talking about Louisa May Alcott's Little Women, or Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. Albert, Isaac, glad to have you.
Glad to be here, Aristo. And Little Women, I actually surprised myself with how much I got out of it this time around. It's got layers, man. Layers I never saw.
I'm here, and I'll say this. For a book that's ostensibly about domestic life, it's remarkably opinionated. Alcott definitely had something to say.
Opinionated is a mild way to put it, Isaac. I found myself both charmed and occasionally quite frustrated. It's a classic for a reason, but it also feels incredibly of its time in ways that are both endearing and, well, a little alienating. Let's start right at the beginning, shall we? Chapter 1, Playing Pilgrims. It sets the tone immediately, doesn't it? The girls grumbling about no presents, the immediate dive into their individual characters, Jo, Meg, Amy, Beth. Right there, you get a sense of who they are.
Absolutely. That opening line, Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents, from Jo lying on the rug, it's iconic. And then Meg sighing about being poor.
Pragmatic one is, who the dreamer is, who the vain one is, and who the sweet, quiet heart of the family is.
It's efficient, I'll give it that. Alcott doesn't waste time. And the playing pilgrims metaphor, she just lays it right out there. Mrs. March essentially tells them, your lives are a moral journey, girls. No subtlety.
No subtlety at all, Isaac. It's right there in the title of the chapter. And the burdens they identify, Meg's vanity, Jo's temper, Amy's self-centeredness, Beth's shyness and fear of people. It's almost startling how direct it is, like a moral instruction manual rather than a novel. Do you think that directness works for it or against it?
For me, it actually works. It establishes the framework. You know what each character's struggle is going to be, and then you watch them try to overcome it throughout the story. It makes their small victories, and sometimes their failures, feel earned. It's a transparent goal, a clear narrative arc for each.
It feels a bit heavy-handed, frankly, like she doesn't trust the reader to pick up on the allegorical elements without explicit instruction. But then again, it was written for a younger audience, predominantly, and a certain moral sensibility was expected. So from that perspective, I suppose it makes sense. It's less a flaw and more a product of its era.
And it frames their sacrifices for Christmas, doesn't it? Giving up their $1 each to buy Marmee presents instead of their desired books, music, or pencils. It's their first small step on the Pilgrim's progress. That act of selflessness immediately establishes the moral compass of the family.
Yeah, that's where the charm really kicks in. Despite their grumbling, they rally. And it's so sweet that Beth, the quietest, is the one who suggests it. She's often the moral compass, isn't she? The one who intuitively knows the right thing.
The mouse, as Meg calls her. And it's not just the money. It's the whole Merry Christmas chapter, right? They give their breakfast away to the Hummels. That's a significant sacrifice for hungry girls. That scene, it's moving, I have to admit. Even I, with my hardened heart, found it a bit touching.
See, Isaac, you're not as cynical as you pretend. But yes, the Hummels. It's a classic Alcottian moment, reinforcing the values of charity and selflessness. And then the payoff, the unexpected feast from old Mr. Lawrence. It's a bit too neat, perhaps, but it serves to connect the two families.
Oh, but it's delightful. The ice cream, the bonbons, the hothouse flowers. It feels like a fairy tale reward for their goodness. And it introduces Laurie, indirectly at first, which is a pivotal moment. The Lawrence boy is now officially in their orbit.
The introduction of Laurie, yes. Jo's immediate affinity for him, her desire to know him because he needs fun. It's almost instantaneous. That sense of kindred spirits. It's a smart move to show it from Jo's perspective first, because it sets up that dynamic.
And how does that dynamic evolve in Chapter 3, The Lawrence Boy, when Jo and Meg go to Mrs. Gardner's dance? That scene where Jo hides in the curtained recess and finds Laurie there. It's a meet-cute for the ages, really.
Oh, it's fantastic. Jo, being Jo, just wants to fly about and cut capers, not dance properly.
And Laurie, equally bashful and out of place among the adults, finds refuge in the same spot. It's like they were destined to find each other in their shared awkwardness.
And he doesn't mind her bluntness. He even laughs at her prim manner when he remembers their cricket chat. That immediately signals a different kind of male character, one who isn't put off by Jo's unladylike qualities. He appreciates her for her.
I'm not Mr. Lawrence, I'm only Laurie. I'm not Miss March, I'm only Jo. It's that instant connection, stripping away the formalities. And then the discussion about their names. Theodore for him, Josephine for her, and their shared dislike for the sentimental aspects. It solidifies their bond as two individuals resisting societal expectations.
And the anecdote about him thrashing the boys who called him Dora, it's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about his character and his willingness to stand up for himself, and for Jo by proxy. It makes him an equal to Jo's spirited nature.
But it's also a hint of his restlessness, his aversion to formality, which will become a bigger issue later, won't it? He's chafing under his grandfather's strict regimen. That desire for fun, for freedom, it links them in a very fundamental way.
Absolutely. Their conversation about Vevey and Paris, Jo's eagerness to hear about travel, it all points to her broader ambitions, her desire to see the world beyond Concord. It's not just about dancing or social graces for her, it's about experience.
And the broken French, quel nom à cette jeune demoiselle en les pantoufles jolies. It's charming, a bit silly, and perfectly in character for them to bond over it. It shows a lighter side of Alcott, that she can inject this kind of playful wit into what could otherwise be a very earnest narrative.
I appreciate that the mishaps at the party aren't overly dramatic. Meg's tight shoes, Jo's burned hair. It keeps it grounded. These aren't grand tragedies, just the small humiliations of growing up and trying to navigate social conventions.
Indeed, and it foreshadows Meg's future vanity struggles. Speaking of burdens, the book continues to explore them with each system. Chapter 4 is literally called Burdens. We see Meg's struggle with vanity, Jo's temper, Beth's shyness, Amy's self-importance. It's a constant thread.
It is, and it's not just a passing mention. Alcott really drills down into each girl's particular flaw, almost like a case study. Meg's attraction to the wealthy, fashionable world, for example, is a persistent temptation for her.
And Jo's temper. That's probably the most visceral burden we see, particularly when she burns Amy's manuscripts. That scene is brutal.
We'll get there, Isaac. Let's not skip ahead too much. Chapter 5, Being Neighborly, solidifies the relationship between the March girls and Laurie, and, by extension, Mr. Lawrence. Beth's courage in going to thank Mr. Lawrence, the unexpected connection through music. It's lovely.
Oh, Beth and Mr. Lawrence. That's one of the most heartwarming parts of the whole book. Her timid bravery, his gruff kindness. It breaks down his isolation, and it gives Beth a space where she feels comfortable. The piano, of course, is the key.
It's the softening of the crusty old man trope. Predictable but effective. And it's Beth who manages it, the one who's afraid of people. It shows her quiet strength.
And it highlights the power of music, not just as an artistic pursuit, but as a bridge between people. Beth, who can't speak much, can communicate profoundly through the piano. It's a beautiful contrast to Jo's boisterousness or Amy's affectations.
And Laurie, too, gets to be more fully integrated. He's no longer just the Lawrence boy next door. He's their neighbor, a friend. That scene where he opens the window and they're all chatting, it's so natural.
It makes their home a more vibrant, less insular place. That's the real impact of his presence. He brings the outside world in a small, non-threatening way at first.
And then we get to Chapter 7, Amy's Valley of Humiliation. This is where Amy's artistic aspirations and her vanity really clash with Jo's impulsiveness, the ice skating incident. Tell me, Albert, what was your reaction reading that again?
Oh, my heart just plummeted. When Jo, in a fit of pique after Amy burned her manuscript, intentionally lets Amy fall through the ice, it's absolutely shocking, even though you know Amy will be fine. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated sibling rage. It shows the darker side of Jo's temper, the real consequences.
I was actually surprised by the intensity of it. It's a child's tantrum, but with adult consequences. Amy almost drowns. And Joe's immediate, profound regret. It's not just a minor squabble. It's a moral crisis for Joe.
It truly is. It's her Apollyon moment, if you will, directly referencing Pilgrim's Progress. Her pride and anger nearly cost her sister's life. And it's a huge turning point for Joe, isn't it? Marmee's wisdom in discussing it with her afterward is crucial.
Marmee, always the voice of reason and calm wisdom. Her explanation of her own struggles with anger, admitting her own burden, is a masterful stroke. It humanizes her and makes her advice land with so much more impact than if she were simply a perfect scolding parent.
That's a scene that elevates the book beyond simple moralizing. It shows that even the virtuous Marmee isn't without her own struggles, and it teaches Joe a profound lesson about empathy and self-control. It makes her journey more relatable.
And Amy's burning of Joe's manuscript, that's a significant act of malice for such a young girl. It's not just a childish prank. It's revenge, born of hurt feelings and a desire to wound. It reveals a depth of character in Amy that's often overlooked because of her pretty little goose exterior.
Amy's always been portrayed as a bit of a brat, but that act, it's a deep cut. It's understandable given Joe's dismissal of her, but it's still shocking. It shows she can be petty and vindictive, not just vain.
It also serves to highlight the intensity of Joe's writing, doesn't it? That she would guard those manuscripts so fiercely. It emphasizes how central her writing is to her identity.
Moving on, Meg's journey to Vanity Fair in Chapter 9. Her visit to the Moffats, where she tries to fit in with a wealthier, more fashionable crowd. It really tests her sense of self and her family's values.
Ugh, Meg at the Moffats. That whole scene is cringeworthy in the best possible way. The dressing up, the flirtation, feeling ashamed of her humble origins. It's so relatable, that desire to belong to a more glamorous world. You just ache for her to realize it's not truly her.
It's a necessary stumble for Meg. She needs to experience that superficiality firsthand to truly appreciate the simple virtues of her home. It's a classic coming-of-age trope, but it works here. She learns her lesson.
And she sees through it eventually, doesn't she? The conversations about money, the way the girls mock the plain and the poor. It's a harsh awakening for Meg, but a crucial one. It reinforces her commitment to John Brooke in a way, too.
Yes, it absolutely solidifies her feelings for John. He represents everything that Vanity Fair isn't. Sincerity, kindness, honest affection. It's a quiet decision, but a firm one.
It's also another example of Alcott's moral instruction, though again, a bit less heavy-handed than the Pilgrim's Progress stuff, showing the negative consequences of chasing superficiality.
The PC and PO chapter, the Pickwick Club in the post office. It's such a charming depiction of their domestic life, their creativity, and their bond. It's the heart of their home.
I love the Pickwick Club. It's such a wonderful invention, a testament to their shared imagination. And Jo as the editor, with all her theatrical flair, directing their creative energies. It's pure fun, pure Alcott.
It's a healthy outlet for their competitive spirits, too, and a good way for Alcott to weave in some examples of their writing, their distinct voices.
And the post office, Beth as postmistress, delivering letters from fictitious correspondence. It's such a sweet, innocent touch, highlighting Beth's role as the quiet connector in the family. She's the one who facilitates communication and love.
It's so unique. Who thinks of a household post office? It just shows the extent of their creativity and the joy they find in their simple domestic life. It reinforces that idea of making their own fun, which they talk about early on.
It's also a way to keep secrets and surprises, which makes their small world feel a bit more magical. And it underlines the importance of correspondence in that era.
The chapter, Castles in the Air, is a fascinating insight into their individual dreams and aspirations. Meg dreams of a grand house and many servants. Jo of fame and fortune as a writer. Beth of staying home and caring for her parents. And Amy of being a renowned artist and traveling.
Those castles in the air are so telling. Meg's is the most conventional, desiring domestic comfort and status. Jo's is bold and ambitious. Beth's is pure selflessness, And Amy's, while artistic, is still rooted in a desire for recognition and a certain social standing. They're all very true to their established characters.
It sets up the thematic tension of the entire book, actually. Do they pursue these grand dreams, or do they find contentment in a more modest domestic sphere? It's the central conflict, really, especially for Jo.
And it highlights the constraints placed on women in that era. Their ambitions, however grand, are often funneled through the lens of marriage or domesticity, even if indirectly. Jo's ambition for fame is almost rebellious in its directness.
It makes you wonder how much Alcott was projecting her own struggles onto Jo, doesn't it? Her own desire for independence and a career outside the traditional rules for women.
That's a good point, Albert. Jo is clearly the author's avatar in many ways, the one who most embodies Alcott's own independent spirit. Her castle feels the most authentic, the most aligned with the author's known persona.
Then we get A Telegram and the subsequent letters chapters, which introduce the profound hardship of the war. Mr. March is wounded, and Marmee must go to him. It's a moment of real crisis for the family, isn't it?
This is where the story shifts, and the girls have to truly step up. Marmee leaving puts immense responsibility on Jo, in particular, as the man of the family. It's no longer just playing Pilgrims, it's real life.
And Jo sells her hair to help fund Marmee's trip. That's a significant sacrifice. It's not just money, it's a part of her identity, her one beauty. It's a powerful moment of selflessness.
It's the symbolic cutting off of her wild, boyish nature, isn't it? A physical manifestation of her stepping into a more mature, responsible role. The act itself is so emotionally charged.
And the grief and the anxiety they experience while Marmee is away, it's palpable. The dark days, as the chapter is called, it's not sugar-coated. They genuinely struggle with the fear and the loneliness.
It brings home the reality of the Civil War, too. Even though the war itself is mostly in the background, it reminds you of the immense personal cost of that conflict.
And then Beth falls ill with scarlet fever, caught from the Hummels. This is a devastating blow, compounding the family's anxieties. It puts Beth, the most vulnerable, at the center of the suffering.
Oh, poor Beth. It's such a poignant moment. The quiet, gentle one struck down, and the fear that she won't recover. It hangs over everything. It's a real tearjerker.
It's a plot device, obviously, to heighten the drama, but it's effective. It forces Amy to go to Aunt March, which in itself is a moment of growth for Amy. She's learning to cope without the familiar comforts of home.
And her will in chapter 19. It's such a touching, childlike expression of her love and generosity, even as she faces death. It's a moment of pure, innocent grace from Beth.
Her little treasures, the Cyclops cat, her piano stool, her books, it's heartbreaking. It solidifies her angelic image, but also shows her profound love for her family.
It's an effective way to show her quiet impact on the family, too. How much she means to them, even in her stillness.
And the return of Mr. March, coinciding with Beth's recovery. It's a moment of profound relief and joy, the family finally whole again. It feels like a genuine reward for their perseverance.
The reunion is lovely, isn't it? The sense of peace returning to the household. It's a moment of respite before the narrative moves into the next phase of their lives, their part second.
Part 1 concludes with Aunt March settles the question, essentially her allowing Amy to stay with her and go abroad later. It ties up that immediate thread.
Exactly. It clears the path for future developments, especially for Amy. Part 2, then, Gossip, jumps forward 3 years. Meg is engaged to John Brooke, which is a major development.
And the gossip is all about Meg and John. It's such a classic scene, the sisters all huddled together dissecting the romance. It's so true to life, that shared excitement and speculation.
It's a transition, showing that the girls are growing up, moving beyond childhood games. Romance and marriage are now very much on the table.
The first wedding, Meg and John. It's a simple, unadorned wedding, reflecting their modest circumstances, but full of love. It marks the first sister leaving the nest.
It's sweet, isn't it? All the little details. the homemade dress, the modest ceremony. It emphasizes that love and contentment don't require grand displays. It's a very Alcottian message.
And it's a practical match, too. John is a good man, steady and kind. It's not a whirlwind romance, but a solid foundation.
It also reinforces the idea of marriage as a duty, a practical arrangement for stability, alongside love, which was, of course, very much the societal norm at the time.
The early domestic experiences of Meg and John are quite telling, too. The struggles with budgeting, the little misunderstandings, the charm of their tiny home. It's not all rosy.
No, it's remarkably realistic for its time. Alcott doesn't shy away from the difficulties of starting a household on limited means. It adds a layer of authenticity to Meg's story.
Then we shift to Jo's attempts at a literary career in Literary Lessons. She's trying to make a living from her sensational stories. What do you make of her early writing, Albert?
Oh, her sensational stories. They're so wonderfully dramatic and over the top. You can just picture her pouring her wild imagination onto the page. It's a reflection of her inner fire, her refusal to be constrained by convention, even in her writing. It's a pragmatic choice, too. She's writing what sells, even if she despises it. It shows her determination to support her family, to contribute financially. It's a departure from her castles in the air, a compromise.
And it's a commentary on the publishing world of the time, isn't it? That sensationalism sells, and serious literary pursuits are often unrewarded. It's a struggle Alcott herself knew well.
Absolutely. It's Alcott critiquing the market, even as she gives Jo this path. It's a tension she explored in her own life, between writing for artistic integrity and writing for bread and butter. And then there's the decision to burn those early stories, to move on to something more meaningful, something true to her own voice. That's a significant artistic statement.
It is. It marks a maturation of her artistic vision. She's not just chasing fame, she's searching for authenticity. Now, let's talk about Laurie's growing affections for Jo. This is where things get complicated.
Oh, Laurie and Jo. It's the great unrequited love story of the book for me. Their friendship is so vibrant, so full of life, that you almost want it to work. But Jo just can't see him that way. Jo's rejection of Laurie is one of the most debated moments, I think. She sees him as a brother, a playmate, and she fears marriage would stifle her independence. It's a very modern sentiment in a way.
It is modern, but it's also rooted in a clear understanding of her own character. She knows she's not cut out for the domestic life that Meg embraces. She fears being tamed or losing her freedom.
And Laurie, bless his heart, he's so earnest in his proposal. But he's also a bit childish in his insistence, isn't he? He doesn't really understand Jo's need for independence. He just wants her to make him happy. He's a bit self-centered in his affections. He sees Jo as his missing piece, but doesn't fully grasp what Jo needs for her fulfillment. Their dynamic, while initially balanced, becomes lopsided here.
And Jo goes off to New York to work as a governess, seeking a new experience, a new beginning. And there, she meets Professor Bear. Isaac, what were your initial thoughts on Professor Bear?
Oh, Professor Bear. I always loved him. He's the antithesis of Laurie in many ways. Older, intellectual, kind, and he challenges Jo intellectually. He sees her potential as a writer in a different way than Laurie ever could. I found him a bit convenient at first, a ready-made intellectual mentor who happens to be available. But as I reread it, I appreciate that he encourages her true writing, not the sensational garbage. He genuinely respects her mind.
And he offers a different kind of love, doesn't he? Not the passionate, impulsive love of Laurie, but a quieter, more intellectual companionship based on mutual respect and shared values. He represents a mature love for Jo.
He's also a gentle, paternal figure, which is something Jo might have needed after feeling so much pressure to be the man of the family. He offers her a different kind of strength. He's not overtly charming in the way Laurie is, but he offers stability and intellectual stimulation, which ultimately is what Jo values more than wild adventure.
Meanwhile, back home, Beth's health continues to decline. This is the tragic heart of the second part of the book, the Valley of the Shadow chapter.
Beth's slow decline is just devastating. Alcott really makes you feel every step of that journey. Her quiet acceptance, her gentle letting go, it's profoundly sad. It's the ultimate lesson in acceptance and loss for the family, and it changes them, especially Jo. It's her biggest test, dealing with that kind of grief.
It's the moment where Jo fully matures, isn't it? Her grief over Beth forces her to confront her own mortality, her own purpose. It's not just a childhood burden anymore. It's the profound reality of life and death.
And Beth's acceptance of her fate, her quiet contentment in her last days, is almost spiritual. She embodies that little tranquility her father called her.
It's a contrast to Jo's fiery nature. Beth's serene passing offers a different kind of strength, a spiritual one, and it's a necessary loss for Jo's character arc, as painful as it is.
And while Jo is grappling with this profound loss, Laurie and Amy are abroad, and their relationship develops. This is another controversial pairing for some readers. What are your thoughts on Laurie and Amy, Albert?
Oh, I actually quite like Laurie and Amy together. I know it's not Jo and Laurie, which so many people root for, but Amy actually brings out a different, more settled side of Laurie. And he gives her the stability and artistic connection she craves. They complement each other in a way that Jo and Laurie might have clashed.
I think it makes more sense than Jo and Laurie, honestly. Amy needs social standing and appreciation for her artistic sensibilities, and Laurie provides that. He also needs a grounding presence, and Amy, for all her vanity, is more practical than Jo. It's a more conventional and perhaps more viable match.
It's interesting because Amy's growth abroad, her moving past mere vanity to a genuine appreciation of art and culture, makes her a more suitable partner for Laurie. She matures into the lady he was always looking for, perhaps.
And Laurie, after his initial self-indulgent sorrow, realizes that Amy is there, steady and kind. Their shared experience of loss and loneliness, with Beth's death and their distance from home, brings them together in a meaningful way.
It's a practical, if not passionate, love match. It fulfills both their needs in a way that Jo never could for Laurie, and Laurie never could for Amy's specific brand of ambition.
And then Jo returns home, alone, grieving Beth, and Laurie and Amy announce their engagement. That must have been a hard blow for Jo, even if she didn't love Laurie romantically.
It's a complex blow. It's the loss of her closest playmate, her brother, in a new way. Even if she didn't want him as a husband, there's a natural pang of jealousy or possessiveness there, I think.
It's the severing of a tie, isn't it? The end of that particular chapter of her life. It's a confirmation that things are changing, and she's being left behind, in a way, even if it's by her own choice.
But then Professor Bear reappears. His return is so gentle, so unexpected, and yet so perfectly timed. It offers Jo a new kind of companionship and love, one that truly suits her.
His return is absolutely perfect. It's like the universe is finally giving Jo what she truly needs, not what she thought she wanted. His quiet kindness, his intellectual kinship, it's a balm for her soul after all the heartache. I was genuinely surprised by how much I liked the Bear relationship this time. I always found it a bit forced, a bit of a literary necessity to pair Jo off. But he genuinely understands her, and more importantly, he sees her as a writer, a thinker, not just a wife.
And he encourages her to write authentically, doesn't he? He critiques her sensational stories, not to belittle her, but to push her towards her true voice. That's a profound act of love and respect.
Exactly. He tells her, "You are a true writer, Jo, but these stories, they are not worthy of your talent." It's tough love, but it's the push she needed to embrace her real artistic self.
And the proposal under the umbrella in the rain. It's not grand or dramatic, but it's real, it's intimate, and it's perfectly Jo. It's a practical and heartfelt offer of partnership.
I have nothing but my love to give you. And Jo, who has always valued independence and meaning, finds both in him. It's not a compromise of her spirit, but an expansion of it.
It shows that love and marriage don't have to mean giving up who you are. For Jo, it's about finding a partner who supports her individual growth.
And the establishment of the school, Plumfield, combining their intellectual and nurturing instincts.
It's a very Alcottian ideal, isn't it? A place where children can learn and grow in a loving, unconventional environment.
It truly is. It's an embodiment of her own father's educational philosophy, Bronson Alcott's progressive ideas. It's a way for Jo to combine her love of teaching, her love of children, and her desire for a meaningful purpose beyond just writing.
And the harvest scene at the very end with all the children and the extended family gathered, it's such a beautiful, idyllic vision of domestic harmony and fulfillment. Everyone has found their place.
It's the ultimate celestial city for them, isn't it? A place of peace and purpose, achieved through their individual pilgrim's progress. It's a very satisfying, if somewhat idealized, conclusion.
And the novel ends with Marmee reflecting on her daughters, each finding their own kind of happiness. Meg as the devoted wife and mother, Amy as the refined artist and society woman, Beth, of course, gone but remembered, and Jo as the intellectual, independent woman who found love and purpose on her own terms.
It's a testament to the power of family, isn't it? Despite their individual paths and challenges, the bond between the sisters and their parents remains the bedrock of their lives.
It's a powerful statement about feminine agency within the constraints of the 19th century. They each carve out a life for themselves, even if those lives aren't always what they initially envisioned in their castles in the air.
So, looking back at the entire arc, what do you think is the most enduring message of Little Women for a modern reader? Is it the celebration of domesticity, the importance of family, or the quiet radicalism of Jo's ambition?
For me, it's the celebration of finding happiness and purpose in the everyday, even amidst hardship. It's about valuing love and genuine connection over superficial desires, but also about the individual journeys each sister undertakes to define what happiness means for them. And Jo's journey, in particular, resonates as a powerful early feminist statement, even if she does end up married. It's how she gets there.
I think it's the evolution of what it means to be a little woman. It starts off with a very prescriptive idea of womanhood, but by the end, through Jo's character especially, it expands to encompass intellectual pursuits, independence, and a broader definition of contribution. It's a subtle push against the very norms it seems to uphold.
I agree with both of you. It's the balance, isn't it? It upholds traditional values of family and kindness, but also quietly champions individuality and intellectual growth. It subtly challenges the narrow confines of womanhood while still operating within those societal structures. It's not a radical overthrow, but a gentle, persistent expansion of what's possible. It's a book that's far more nuanced than its initial impression might suggest.
Yeah, it's not just a quaint story about girls growing up. It's a story about choosing your path, even when it's difficult, and finding joy in unexpected places. And the way Alcott weaves in those deeper philosophical questions, it really elevates it.
I was surprised by how much I picked up on the commentary about societal expectations and class. The contrast between the Marches' simple, principled lives and the more materialistic world around them is constant. It's a subtle but persistent critique of Gilded Age excess.
That's a great point, Isaac. The book is very deliberate in showing the pitfalls of wealth without purpose and the richness of a life lived with integrity, regardless of financial means. The way Meg struggles with her envy of wealthier friends, or Amy's initial desire for social standing, all highlight this theme.
And the depiction of their poverty, especially at the beginning, it's not romanticized. It's a real struggle. They have to make sacrifices. They feel the sting of not having nice things. It grounds their moral lessons in a very real, tangible way.
It also provides a strong motivation for Jo's drive to earn money through writing, even if it's rubbish. She's not just doing it for personal glory, but to contribute to the family's well-being. That makes her choices more complex.
Her initial writing, those sensational stories, they're a means to an end. It's a stark contrast to her later, more authentic work. It's almost a Faustian bargain she makes with the literary market.
Yeah, the editor telling her to make the villain more dreadful and the hero more brave. It's a commentary on the commercialization of art, even then. And Jo, despite her disdain, plays along because she needs the money.
And the burning of those stories, after Bear's critique, is a symbolic cleansing, a shedding of the inauthentic.
It's her recommitment to her true artistic self.
But let's not forget the role of Marmee in all of this. She is arguably the most influential character, guiding them, setting the moral tone, even admitting her own imperfections. She's not just a mother, she's a spiritual mentor.
Marmee is the North Star of the family, isn't she? Her quiet strength, her unwavering love, her practical wisdom. She allows them to make their own mistakes, but is always there to guide them back.
She's the anchor. Without her, the Pilgrims' Progress would be a lot more chaotic. She provides the map, if you will, even if they sometimes wander off course.
And her admitting her own temper, that she still struggles with anger, that humanizes her so much. It makes her relatable and her lessons more impactful because she's not a paragon of perfection.
That's why that scene with Joe after the ice skating incident is so powerful. Marmee's vulnerability makes Joe's own struggles feel less isolating. It's a beautiful moment of intergenerational empathy.
It reinforces the idea that character development is a lifelong process, not something you achieve and then you're done. Everyone is on their own Pilgrim's Progress.
And what about the illustrations in the Gutenberg version we looked at? Frank T. Merrill's work. Did you find they added to or detracted from your reading experience?
Oh, I loved them, especially the more dramatic ones, like "They all drew to the fire, Mother in the big chair, with Beth at her feet," or "Face to face with the Lawrence boy." They really captured the mood and the characters' expressions, helping to visualize Alcott's descriptions. The older style adds to the charm.
I found them, well, they're very much of their time, aren't they? A bit sentimental for my taste, but I can see how they'd appeal to a younger reader trying to imagine the scenes. They're certainly evocative of the era.
I thought they were quite effective, actually. They provide a visual counterpoint to the text, a gentle reminder of the historical context. The one of Joe with her burnt hair, for instance, really brings home the absurdity and the pathos of that moment.
The small, almost cartoonish ones at the chapter breaks are also fun. They provide a little visual punctuation that lightens the tone between some of the more serious parts.
And the detailed list of illustrations at the beginning, that was a blast from the past. You don't see that in modern books as much. It makes it feel like an artifact.
It certainly does. It's part of the historical charm, I think. It grounds the digital text in its original physical form. Let's talk a bit about the influence of the transcendentalist movement, given Alcott's background. Do you see those themes explicitly in the book?
Oh, absolutely. The emphasis on self-reliance, the importance of nature. Think of Joe's love for the outdoors, her seeking solace in the garret window. The moral and spiritual journey, that's pure transcendentalism, adopted for a domestic setting.
The Pilgrim's Progress framework itself is a very Puritan self-improvement narrative, which aligns with transcendentalist ideals of individual spiritual growth and moral perfection. And Marmee's constant appeals to their conscience, their inner light, that's straight out of Emerson.
And the idea of finding divinity in the everyday, in simple acts of kindness and self-sacrifice, that's a hallmark of the movement. It elevates the domestic sphere to a place of profound moral significance.
It's revolutionary in a way, isn't it? To take these grand philosophical ideas and apply them to the lives of 4 little women. It empowers their seemingly small lives with immense meaning.
It also explains why Alcott felt compelled to explicitly state the moral lessons. It's not just a story, it's a guide to living a good, purposeful life, in line with those philosophical underpinnings.
And the community aspect, the generosity towards the Hummels, the sense of interconnectedness, that echoes the utopian ideals of some transcendentalist communities, like Brook Farm, which Alcott's father was involved with.
Oh, absolutely. The idea of collective well-being, of extending compassion beyond your immediate family. It's a practical application of their philosophical beliefs.
It makes the book feel less like simple children's literature and more like a work with a serious philosophical agenda, albeit one wrapped in a very accessible narrative.
What about the ending? Specifically the choice for Joe to marry Professor Bear and have children, when her castle in the air was about fame and independence. Does that undermine her rebellious spirit, or does it redefine what independence can mean?
I think it redefines it.
It's not the independence of being a solitary, childless artist, but the independence of choosing a partner who supports her intellectual and creative life and building a community around that. It's a broader, more mature kind of independence. She's still writing, she's still teaching, she's still Jo, but now with a partner and a purpose that aligns with her values.
I agree with Albert here. If she had remained a solitary writer, it might have felt forced or even incomplete for the era. By marrying Bear, she gets both companionship and an intellectual partnership that allows her to thrive. It's not a capitulation, it's a strategic alliance for fulfillment. She still owns the school, right? It's her vision.
Yes, Plumfield is very much her domain, shared with Bear. It's not a patriarchal takeover, it's a partnership, and it allows her to nurture future generations, combining her love for children with her educational ideals. It's a very satisfying resolution for her character, even if it wasn't what many readers initially hoped for with Laurie.
And the whole Little Men and Jo's Boy sequels, which continue the Plumfield story, further cement that vision. It becomes her enduring legacy, not just her sensational stories.
The question of Jo and Laurie, though, still hangs over the book for many readers. It's almost a testament to Alcott's skill that she created such a compelling, seemingly destined pairing, only to diverge from it.
It truly is. It's a masterstroke, whether intentional or not, that creates an ongoing debate. It forces readers to confront their own expectations of romance and character development. It shows that love isn't always about the obvious choice, or the one that's most conventionally romantic.
And Alcott herself reportedly regretted not marrying Jo to Laurie, but was pressured by her editor to give Jo a husband. So she made Bear the least objectionable option. That adds another layer to the interpretation, doesn't it?
Wait, really? She said that? That's a fascinating piece of meta-commentary on the author's own struggle with the expectations of her audience and her time. It means even she felt the pressure to conform, even as she wrote about resisting it.
Yes, she was under pressure to marry Jo off, but she famously said she wouldn't marry her to Laurie simply because readers expected it. She chose a path that, to her, felt more authentic to Jo's intellectual nature, even if it wasn't the romantic ideal. It's a defiant act in a way.
That makes the Bear pairing even more powerful then. It's Alcott's own act of artistic integrity, mirroring Jo's decision to burn her sensational stories. It's a choice for authenticity over popularity. It elevates the ending from a simple tying up of loose ends to a statement about the author's own principles. That's a remarkable insight.
It adds a layer of depth to the entire narrative, doesn't it? It reflects the very themes of choice and fulfillment that the March sisters grapple with. And on that note, I think we've journeyed through the Pilgrim's Progress of Little Women quite thoroughly.
What a ride! I mean, I went into this expecting a cozy, nostalgic read, but it's so much more. It makes you think.
More than I expected. The social commentary, the philosophical underpinnings, it's a denser book than its reputation suggests.
Absolutely. It truly stands the test of time, precisely because of those layers we've uncovered. Now, to our wonderful listeners, we want to know what you think. Given Alcott's personal artistic struggles and the choices she made for Jo, do you believe Jo's marriage to Professor Bear truly aligns with her core spirit of independence, or was it a necessary compromise for the times? Let us know in the comments.
And if you've enjoyed this deep dive, please remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next literary adventure here in the Common Room. We're always stirring up something interesting, I promise.
Indeed we are. Thank you, Albert and Isaac, for another illuminating discussion.
Anytime, Aristo.
Always a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep reading.